Welcome to another edition of the Wide Eye Mini Spotlight here on my network, JLJ Media. I'm James Lott Jr., the JLJ of JLJ. And today, oh my goodness, I've been waiting.
What JLJ? What day is it, JLJ? Let me know.
We can start rhyming.
JLB wants to know.
We can start rhyming. I love it. He is, obviously a daytime legend, celebrating 30 years, and he's only 31, so it's kind of crazy. 30 years.
Right out of the womb.
The number one daytime drama, Young and the Restless. He has multiple Emmys. We're going to talk about all this kind of stuff. But he's also starring, if you get to New York, which I wish I could go right now because I love New York this time of year.
I know, right? Me too.
I love it this time. I love Rockefeller Center. I love Mason.
Holiday, skiing at Rockefeller Center. Yeah.
Yes. He's playing Big Daddy on Cat and Hot Tin Roof. So you can
Big Daddy Paulette.
That's right. Help me welcome Christian J. LeBlanc. Hello, Mr. LeBlanc.
Hello. It's so good to see you.
Yes, our L last names. I love it. Lott and LeBlanc.
Yeah, that's right. We have to do Zoom because we're not on any carpet right now. But, it's good to see you. Oh, I know.
It sucks.
I know. I've gotten back to like hugging. I'm just a big super spreader.
I'm a hugger too. I'm a hugger. Yeah. I love hugging.
I'm a big hugger. And you forget the people you don't see when they don't do theaters or red carpets and stuff, the photographers, all that kind of, the people you're used to. And that, that work is missing for all of us, And so, it's so good to see them. I'll hug them.
You're about to go on stage and be in front of people live in a room and able to feel their energy. You must be excited.
It is terrifying, exciting, exhilarating. I'll be honest too. That's that first kind of thing, where I was like, "Oh, Big Daddy, I guess I'm not going to be Brick." In your head, you've got all the seminal roles that you want to play, and you kind of don't push them along as you age. It's like nobody thinks Methuselah play that, but what an amazing character. And I gotta say, her lives in that movie, even though I didn't know, I was too young to know what anything was about, and they had kind of cut it up so much.
Yeah.
But and I've seen it on stage several times. What an amazing part. And it's, we've been doing Zoom rehearsals and stuff like that, and it's daunting. But I got to tell you, if you're gonna risk it, if you're gonna risk it all on stage, this is a character that can really, it's to take your best shot at this kind of stuff is shooting high. So I love it.
I'm going to say it's an ironic character still. It's an ironic role. It's an ironic character. Iconic character.
Yeah.
It's we know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big Daddy, all that name and stuff. And, in Tennessee Williams, we're from that country.
Yes, we are.
And I'm a participant in the Tennessee Williams Festival in New Orleans. They literally put a woman in a slip on the second floor of the Pentalba Apartments, and all the drunks from the French Quarter, all Jackson Square is full, and they have a contest where people pay to enter. Then they yell "Stella" to my friend, the head of the festival, in her slip, and she stays there all day and does stuff like, "Baby, I can't hear you. Can you do it a little louder?" And it's brilliant. And we're up there just whooping it up. But that's the approach to Tennessee Williams.
Yeah. So, Kristen, people ask me, how do you explain Louisiana to people? You and I have that connection. We have that connection. You moved there.
Isn't it a very poetic place?
I think so.
It's a little bit attached to a country that it's not a part of. It's a little foreign place. I was a history major. My ancient Roman history, he said New Orleans is one of the last Greek city-states left on earth. Ooh. With their mystery societies and their secret ceremonies. And it's just, I think of things like walking in a thick fog on Mardi Gras night where costumes are half off of people and they're looming out of them. It's magic. It's magic. You've got that stuff, that city that care for God. I can just hear Satchmo sing, "Do you know what it means?" And I could cry right now. Yeah. It's that kind of beauty. It's always at risk. There's something about tropical, and Atlanta got burned down, so it's the big modern metropolis of the South. But New Orleans has the largest extent Victorian neighborhood in the country, and that history seeps into your bones. And jazz was invented there. That's where Louis Armstrong came from. It's all that stuff, and I love that poets and writers. When I come back, and that's my home, I want to do better at my writing or the whatever, Yeah. You have that kind of connection to it. It's family too.
I agree. And even all the food
Mm-hmm.
there's history in the food. There's mysticism in the food.
There's massive voodoo, and I mean, I mean, because I do the history. I mean, I love that stuff, and I've written a children's book that has some of that in that. But I go to old Congo Square, and see the Congrès, and I mean, it's one of those weird things. I was doing when I did the prostate cancer storyline. I was doing festivals for the doctor, who's one of the big specialists was actually at Tulane. So we do something called the Blue Do. You know, there's a race and a party for everything.
Yes, everything.
Raise some money. And in the middle of the Pussyfooters, the marching band.
Yes.
So the Pussyfooters are all there in their costumes, all these women. And out of nowhere, she goes, "Oh yeah, I'm a voodooin, a priestess."
Yeah.
And you're like, that's the only place in the middle of campus on the quad that you can meet a voodoo priestess and be invited. You know, it's just, it's that kind of, that's the history that seeps into you, that every corner you go through or you turn around, there's a story, and it's a great place for storytelling. It is. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, I'm descended from, and it's mixed. It's all mixed in there. City. You know, I'm descended from a slave and a slave owner, like a lot of people are. Yeah. I mean,
we're probably related. We're probably related.
You know what? I've got a big picture of a part of my family that goes from black as night to blonde, little so
Same
white
here.
she's almost see-through. And it was Broyard was the name of the family, and me and Bliss Broyard was a big writer, met online, and then all of a sudden it was like they had this great reunion, and I wasn't able to go, and we were kind of the seminal people. But it's like that's the kind of polyglot melting pot kind of great old port city that you get stories, and everybody's got great ones, and I like that people are writing more and stuff about them, and you know, it's interesting. They just had that movie Passing, which I thought was very, because I know there's parts that got left behind. You know, so it's very, I mean, that's the kind of stuff people don't know, and we know enough, I think, down there that, you know, watch who you're calling what, because you said probably a cousin.
My grandma looked like, I thought she was an old Russian woman when I saw her was growing up. I'm like, why is she so light skinned and looked like she's like, and she was militantly Creole.
Yeah. And you remember, oh yeah. It's interesting because you'll be down in Natchitoches or down in the marshes around Cut Off, or even around, my people came from Raceland and around there in Lafourche.
Yes.
But you'll see these beautiful cocoa colored, with gray eyes, and it's just a beautiful combination of, it's just stunning people. You know, and it's a good lesson to know that, you know, you can mix it up and it comes out really pretty.
I like that.
You know,
okay, I go on, but
well, me too. You got to watch me on the families.
I know. Something. Our family names are Bayonne, Rochelle, Dupuis. Those are all
Saloon, LeBlanc. You know, every cage you never made. You know.
Yes.
That's all cousins marrying cousins. You just can't get out of that.
Exactly.
That was.
Okay, I guess I should mention why not. But so here's the thing. We mentioned age for a second, because there's always a joke with the women. First you're an ingenue, then you're the mother or grandmother. Okay, for you, 30 years, my co-host on my regular show that we do, we love your hair. We love that you chose to, like you, Drake Hoganson on Days of Our Lives.
Maurice is letting it out.
Maurice letting it out. Michael E. Knight is letting it out. Like, I have my goatee. So I mean, so what was
a big thing for women too? It's become a big thing for, I mean, kind of the thing to do, I guess, which is, you know, I think it's a good comment, especially for women. I have to say the pressure's on for them. It always has been. It's a little better now. The pressure's actually not even that, it's less on them. There's more on men too.
I was saying, because soap men, soap men are supposed to be a certain look. So what made you decide that the gray stay?
I'm just a lazy person. That's what that is. I mean, and I had no idea this was under there. I thought I was going bald, so I started dyeing my hair because they said it thickens the follicles. So my hair was the same color it was being dyed forever. There was no gray I did it since, I guess, in the 30s. I'd gone to Australia for a project. And I thought, I'm going to burn my skin. You know what I mean? I have six brothers. And you know, you're watching for it. And I thought, I'm too young. I can't turn that bend quite yet. And they said, so when they started seeing the little gray when it grew out, I'd be like, oh, look at that. I'm probably salt and pepper. Well, to come the pandemic, that black line starts going, and I got pictures of it. just white, like some crazy Madonna wannabe, roots. This are the prints of my artwork.
It's beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh my goodness.
That's ChristianLeBlancArt.com. Yeah, it's that was that. It's all about stuff I saw on the pandemic walks. So this is an urban farm that's down on Abbot Kinney, and these animals all have names. So this is a drawing of
I love Abbot Kinney area. I love that area.
Oh, I mean, I'm doing push-ups because, hold on, let me get.
Fans are getting a little behind the scenes stuff, getting some stuff here.
What's interesting is I was doing push-ups up, they weren't working in gyms anymore. So my trainer was doing an open parking lot out at Abbot Kinney. And I thought it was one of the things we were just talking about this during pandemic. I was so much darker than I've ever got. You know what I mean? It was so weird. I mean,
it was hot.
Not only skin, but I'm always going. I'm going over the Brian. Where's the mulatto storyline? Don't talk to me about that. Non-representational.
Exactly. Thank you. I like that.
It takes a village, man. But I was really, and I realized I hadn't gone out and exercised. I'm used to being pretty active because I'm kind of wired high. So if you just keep it inside in your house, and so I was out at Abbot Kinney, and I'm putting push-ups, and I'm looking at a duck, and I'm going, why am I looking at a duck? But that's where that came from. So the next show, which I did my first one in New Orleans, will be all things I've seen, sites that I've seen as I've done my long walks. And it's called Se promener du temps de peste, walking in a time of plague. And that's what the show is going to be. So
cool. Congratulations, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm teasing some of them are kind of derivative. We call them intermezzos, the little print, moment. I've taken pictures. It would be an NFT if I had it on just on digital. But I did prints of them and stuff. And so so it's it was what I got to do during pandemic. It made the time useful to me. So it was one of my tricks.
All right. Now, one of the things I also wanted to ask you, after 30 years, when people recognize you, what does that feel like these days? I know in the beginning it's probably weird, and you're like, what's that? They know who I am. It's crazy. But now
I think the first time, you're absolutely right. I remember the first time it was As the World Turns. Now you got to remember that's back in the 80s.
Yes, you are. Yes,
and I remember pulling away from a mall in a limo and the girls chasing the car. And I thought, I'm looking through the back of the window going, oh, what would I chase a car for? I don't think I chase a car for anything. I mean, literally had this mind loop going like, where did they think? They think they're going to catch the car? It was just only because it was such a shocking behavior where I am concerned. So, I mean, it was, and it's that is a kind of separate celebrity that you read about in books. But what's interesting with daytime, it's like you kind of pointed out, it's such an intimate relationship. And I had told the story before. I was talking to a pretty famous teacher who was not being dismissive per se of daytime, but it's not theater. It's not
right.
But I had to sit back and tell her, for an actor, first off, if you evened out my work, I've been able to do. I've been able to do what I love more than anything in the world, at least once a week for my whole life. If you divided it all up.
Yeah.
And there's not many actors that can say that.
Nope.
And I've gotten, if I'm good at all, I've gotten good because of that constant challenge of you're not doing it just in class, my friend. You're doing it, someone's paying you and you've got to step up. And the definition of amateur is you do it for love. Once you're a professional, you're a professional. I've had these experiences. Like I remember in Vegas once, there was a long line of fans and they were waiting for autographs, and I was pretty backed up. I go pretty fast, but and there was a girl, it was around Katrina time. And there was a young lady had a New Orleans shirt or a Saint shirt, something they gave her away as a and most people do know I'm from New Orleans who've watched the show. And I'm signing, and she just came up and she gave me a big hug and she started crying. It was fresh, Katrina. And she just started crying. We all knew why. And the line was patient, quiet as a pin drop, no one complaining. And I just stood there. And if it was Michael or me, it didn't matter because I had been in her home so many times, I assume. and that I was someone that she felt she knew and could trust. And she just had that moment, and everybody, right. And it was also a weird time because there were Katrina people all over the country there, and they were being taken in and all
That's
that
true.
stuff. And,
Place,
we would all know each other. We would all
Yeah.
see each other, and you could recognize that. And that's the kind of really intimate relationship you have with your fans. Like I said, if you're lucky enough to be on, or not even a long, long time, because they take you right into their heart. You are in their home. People, I go up to Canada, they learn English listening to me at this point, so they keep you on the air. And we must have the most long-term fans, because we hear the best stories are, I watched with my grandmother and my granddaughter and my grandfather, and she passed. And whenever I see the show, I think of her. Those kind of things are priceless. And that's what we get. That's what you get when you do this.
Yeah. And, 30 years, you're getting your own episode on January 10th. So when they told you that, what is that? How does that feel? I mean, you're like, yes.
I didn't know how it felt till I cried all the way through the day. Here's this hard-bitten lawyer, and you've got all these wonderful clips from, but they're introduced into the drama of it. So you're talking as Michael with the different people, and you're flashing back. And you know what? I asked them to show them on set because I wanted to know what I was looking at.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because we're actually referencing them, and some people don't like that cut up, but I wanted to know what it looked like. I could remember most of them, but the different nuances of it. And actually, we were all standing there because everyone started clumping around the television monitors, safe distance. And you could see people like, that's good. That was damn good. And I was like, the stuff with Kevin.
Oh,
and that's the kind of thing for your 30th anniversary that makes it happen, is like you start thinking back, and then they surprised me and did a big deal rather than I thought I was going to get those cupcakes. That's what I was gunning for. And they had the balloons, and there's a big, poor Jason we shared a dressing room. He's stuck with this big 30 balloon job just looming over him because it's bigger than either one of us. But people did speeches, and people came in on their day off. So I was a mess for most of it. And Tracy and I were in it a lot together. So by the end of it, we're doing these bits, and I'm like, what did you say? I can't remember what I think I had sundowners. It was like, there's not very much left to me now. Take it while you can. These my declining minutes.
Yes. I always think of Tracy because first of all, I don't know how she just stays beautiful. First of all, she's beautiful inside and out. For you, few words on Tracy Bregman.
I always there's always a story I talk about with Tracy, which is she does everything I do, like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. She does it, but she does it backwards, and she does it in the highest heels you will ever see. Once she took her shoes off, and she'll talk about this all the time, and she started moving like a human being. And I'm like, oh my God, look how spry you are. You may be 2 inches tall. Oh my God, because now she's down here.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, look at you moving like you're going to do something. And she starts doing that. And I can't help but laugh because Tracy wears she's a fashionista. She in real life and as her character. So anytime we're going into a room or coming downstairs on the show, it's always very slow and dignified because I'd lose her. We'd have to put her down because she'd be she'd cripple coming down on those. These are heels. I'm looking, no human being. Other women come up and look at them and think, well, how do you do this? So, yeah, but she is, if she wasn't comfortable in all the things we've done, and we instantly had that kind of physical comfort, which is a great thing to have if you're playing lovers and all the things we played. And, Christoph, the great Christoph.
Oh, my buddy Christoph, yes.
Yeah, came up to the table, and we'd be on a break, on a 5 or something, 5-minute break as they have them scheduled. And we're still sitting there holding hands. And he goes, you're holding hands because the scene's done. I'm like, and we didn't even know it. But it's that kind of. And I think we might be, I wish someone would do the work on it. We might be the longest uninterrupted married couple on
I think you guys are too. We're trying to figure that out also.
Because we have never had a divorce. Nope. And we've never been broken up. And that has to be since mid-90s. Has to be at least the mid-90s.
I agree.
Well, I came back in 96. So it would probably be 97, somewhere in the late 90s.
Yeah, I agree.
That we got together.
Yeah. Few words on our mutual friend, the beautiful, crazy Michelle Stafford.
Oh, yeah, I got to tell you, Michelle and her family kept me sane during pandemic. She was one of the few people I potted with because we knew we were both being tested so much by the show that it was okay. And the kids were, and they, her parents are very careful too, because they're, kind of immunocompromised.
Yeah.
So, but one of the best, if someone after all the years, well, this if you've worked in a business, if someone can still surprise you, well, in a relationship, period. Yes.
Yes.
If someone can still surprise you and make you laugh, I mean, it is the constant. It's not just me either. And it's in the best way. I've sat there in scenes and gone, how did we get here? We started over there, and there was no way we were going to get over here, but we got here. I don't know how that happened. Yeah. And she's passionate, and look, she has 2 kids on her own.
I love her kids. I love them.
Those are amazing. But just there, she's kind of one of the bravest and strongest people I know.
I agree.
And not that she's not vulnerable, but
right.
she's just an all around. She would be a female mensch.
I agree.
That's what she is.
That's what I agree. Who is Michael Baldwin to you? Is he a best friend, brother, twin, cousin? I mean, who?
No, I keep him very far from me as far as I can.
Wow. Okay.
That makes it interesting. Because it's because if you're playing and it can seep in, and more of me seeps in, and I kind of push it back out again, because it'd be very boring for me to play myself. Why do that? I do that in the daytime. But this is my time to tell somebody else's story, and of a character that's so interesting and is so different from me. I do like his intellect and his love of words as a lawyer.
Yes.
But his darkness is not my darkness. Everyone has some. That's not mine. And he's had these bouts of mental health and violence. And in fact, if Laura Lee hadn't been completely comfortable, because I'd never done those kind of scenes. I've never been
those scenes were amazing, though, and crazy.
Yeah, I got sisters. I've never been violent to a woman in play acting. And if Laura Lee had expressed any discomfort, I would have gone to pieces. Yeah. And she was in it to win it from the beginning. And I knew I could do what I could fly, and she would be there for me. So he's a different animal. And when people say, and it was said that night of my anniversary celebration, you're so different from your character. And I was like, thank goodness I am. Because sometimes you got to check in and you don't know.
Yeah.
It's a long time, but yeah. And they give me that. They remember who Michael is, and they don't just write Christian. They write Michael,
Good. Tell folks where they can find you in New York on the Haunted Cat Tin Roof, where they can find you if they want to go see you.
We will be theater at St. Clemens, which is on 46th Street in New York, and our tickets are available now. And I don't have the.
They're available now.
It's all over. It's on my social media. We have Austin Pendleton's in the show. We have Allison Frazier, a Tony nominee, multiple time Tony.
Yes.
Tony is Big Mama. Matt Regalis, who founded the theater company. It's a nonprofit, Ruth Stage. It's amazing. So I'm in high cotton, as they say. So I have to step up. I gotta bring my A game. And there's really nothing you want more if you love something. If you're going to be a better tennis player, you got to go play with better tennis players. So that's where I'll be in New York, and we open on, I believe, the 14th. We start previews and we close on February 13th, I believe. So
yeah, you're right. Actually, correct. He's correct.
Opening is like the 20th.
Yeah. And I'll post it in the description.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, come on down, because we've got some contingents coming out from Los Angeles, so I'm excited, nervous and terrified too. But yeah, I'm excited.
Christian, we have to come back on the show when you have more time. I would love to continue talking.
Well, listen, if there's a few more, because I'm going to make up those few minutes that I walked away. So if you have another question,
I do. Actually, I do. Steve, look, I love this. This is great.
Let me do it, because I took that from, and I apologize. We'll
do another 5 minutes, and then you'll be.
Yeah, give me that. Give me 5 more minutes.
Okay, so now, two things. One thing I wanted to mention is the law dialogue. Has it gotten easier over the years? Or
no, I have to check in my truth bucket.
Yeah, come on. It's
You
just
know
not.
what, Laura Lee, it's about loving it. I did always love it. And you got to remember the first case Michael had, and this was very early because they had to establish him as brilliant. So,
Oh, right.
no, it had to be all amazing. And I think JFK was out with what's his name doing those monologues in court as the lawyer, Costner.
Yes.
So they gave me that quality stuff. And it was about a young Black athlete, basketball player, who was passed through school without learning because he was an athlete, and he sues the school. And I have these beautiful speeches. And there, in those days, you'd get 6-7 page closing statements.
Yes.
And I love doing it because there's a part of me that's a ham enough that in a courtroom, you can just be a little more bigger and Shakespearean because you're in front of an audience within an audience, actually.
Right.
And you have 12 jurors in there, and I made those jurors cry, or they could be just amazing actors, or they could have been just, please, when will he shut up so we can go home? But, whatever that might be, I took it as a compliment.
Yes, exactly.
If it's their suffering, I don't care. I can take that as a compliment. But yeah, so I mean, he is my meal ticket. He's what the people and the people loved him. And as an evil character, that's not always a given. So they found something human that I was trying to put in there, and they recognized it, and they gave me this amazing career. So that's what Michael did to me.
So is Michael, after all these years, is he a good guy with an edge, or a reformed bad? I'm trying to figure out who he is.
Yeah, I love that question because even in the beginning, he wasn't good or bad. He was always like everyone.
Right.
You play a human being, and then your character has legs. Hannibal Lecter, nobody wants to see anybody else but Hannibal Lecter in that movie. Right. They don't want to hear anybody else. He's riveting because there's something amazing about that character, and he found it, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Not to compare the two, but I mean, it's like you've got to be the human being. So you're basically, Michael is someone who does good things for bad reasons and bad things for good reasons, like all of us in life. Yeah. And he just might have a more extreme version, but I will stick to my guns. And I have said this multiple times. We can't write the truth because no one would believe the truth. We dumb down reality to put it on daytime because no one would get it. No one would buy it. But all of us have a family story that no one will believe but the family. You know what I mean? It's just true. So yeah, that's what he is to me. I mean, he was a creation that the fans allowed to stay around because we told a good story, the show and I.
Oh, you did. Now, one of the last things I want to ask you about is now you have the other side of things where there's accolades. Sometimes. 12-time nominee, 3-time winner.
Me and Susan almost.
Well, you know what's so funny? When I interviewed Heather Tom the first time, and at times she was like nominated 15 times, but won 5. Because it was just baseball. My average isn't that good, though, if you think about it. I mean, if you think about all those times, I started laughing. But us on the outside look at it going, but it was still 12 times that you were nominated. And you won, but like, do you think you're gonna, after a while, do you think you're gonna win? It's just nice to be nominated. Like,
you know what was great was before I was ever nominated. Well, before I won, certainly before I won, when I was nominated very early in the game, actors who were nominated, who were legends, would come up to me and tell me that they appreciated my work that I didn't know personally. Wow. Erica Slezak, Kim Zimmer. Yeah. Legends came up to me. And I didn't know them at the time. I know them now. Yeah. But I knew of them. And they came up and look, when I'm nominated, I don't see anybody else. That's all I see is the statue. Yeah. And you wait for any name that even begins with a crook. And it was a horrible, horrible torture that Christoph and I were nominated a lot together with Shamar. We actually held Shamar down in his seat because they would line us up on the aisle behind each other. So he didn't get up, but he won one year too.
Yes, he did.
So yeah, Chris, it was a and it was like, oh man. So yeah, it was nice to feel that people appreciated you without any award on your shelf. You know what I mean? And when I was nominated, to be nominated with Tony Geary. Tony Geary was so kind because in 5 years, I won 3, he won 2. Me, him, me, him, me.
Oh, how funny. Yeah.
And every year he'd be like, oh, it's you. And then he'd win and I'd go, you son of a gun. But he was such a gentleman. I remember one day he came off with his award and he looked at me and he just nodded as he goes with the award. So, I mean, and Tony Geary and Bernard, I was nominated with legends.
Yeah.
And since my speeches turn out to be incoherent, I have a good visual always.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So I mean, yeah. So it's pretty amazing, but it's really one of those things. I remember someone asked me about when you go up there, and it really is so clear to me through all the craziness in my head and my speech. I do know that there's a person to thank, and it's not me. And I found that person every time I've gone up there. Okay. You know, and they were important to me, and I was glad to have. And you know, of course, one day it was my dad sitting right in front of me. You know, and if I'd written the script, my mom would be there too, but she had been to them, but she had passed by them. But my dad, and someone texted me, a good friend texted me right when I go up, and he goes, just breathe. And I'm like, that's all good. But you know what happens when you just breathe, take a deep breath, you weep like a baby. And that's all I could do is look at my father and cry. And he was so proud, you know. So
I love that.
It's always about the other person. Once you get up there, it is amazing what you feel as far as, oh, it's not me. It's so not me. Who do I have to throw this to now? Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Well, Christian J. LeBlanc, you are one of the legends too.
Thank you.
Whether you see yourself that way or not, you are. And you are a human at the same time. I like that. You're both. You are both. You're probably one of my cousins. You're probably one of my cousins too. At the same time.
I'm telling you, James, I'm going to look it up.
I would be surprised.
Somebody's going to have to bring us covered dish to somebody. That's how that's going to work. They're going to have to bring me a Sunday covered dish, and that's
I could do it, Christian. I could do it. I love it
too. Listen, my comfort food is I had to snap because I've been trying to be a vegetarian. I had to go make some turkey. I had to make chicken gumbo because I was so dark that I was like, I need home. Yes, and I started making gumbo, and I was so happy.
I understand that. Christian J. LeBlanc, you guys, thank you for watching Wine Army Spotlight. Please follow us on all the social medias. Please follow us on all the streaming services. Follow him everywhere also. Go see him in New York. Continue watching YNR. Congratulations on 30 years. Everyone,
thank you, my friend.
Take care and be safe.
All right.